Hi, I'm Frank Tybush. I'm the creative director for Tonal Vision, and today we're talking about the Sony NEX-FS700. This particular camera was the RH package, which came with a lens. This camera shoots in AVC HD footage, but with some extra attachments like a hard drive, you can actually upgrade it to shoot up to 4K RAW. This is a great versatile camera. We use it for a myriad of projects, but what I really love about this camera is that it shoots slow motion, up to 960 frames per second. But this video today is just on general setup. We will talk about the slow motion function in another video. When you pull the camera out of our case, there's a few things you need to put on it before you can really even turn it on. Usually, with a shotgun mic, we put it up top here, which leaves this open for a wireless, which is great because a lot of the wireless mics, to turn them on is on like the front of the mic, and you can't reach it really well if it's up in the top of the camera and it's really high up. But right here, you can just flip it down and press it. First thing you want to do is make sure there is a memory card in the camera. Right here on the back. And you can tell it's just a normal memory card. If there's not a memory card in there, you want to have the label of the memory card facing towards the center of the camera. And it just slides in and clicks. If there's any resistance, you're probably putting it in the wrong way, so don't shove it. You don't want to break it. And if you need to get it out, you just press it in and it releases. You also want to make sure there's a battery in the camera. As you can see, this one doesn't. Just slide the battery right in the back, push it over, it clicks. To get the battery out, it's a little funky on this camera. The battery release button is actually on the side here underneath. Push the battery release button in, and it pops out. And if you need to use external power, you can just plug it in right here on the side. After you get the battery in, you need to attach the hand grip. Right in the side here is where a hand grip normally goes. Well, this camera, it separates, which is kind of nice because you can adjust the angle of the grip. So if you want it up like this, you can. Or your traditional slot, you can go all the way around 360 degrees. And then once it's screwed in, you take the cord and it plugs in on the back where it says remote. The last couple things you need to do before starting with the internal parts of the camera, take the lens cap off, and then flip the LCD viewfinder up. This camera comes with a viewfinder attachment for the LCD screen. You simply slide it over and clip the clips. Now, while I love the camera, one part of it that I kind of don't like is that with the viewfinder on the top of the camera, you kind of have to be tall if you want the camera up high to be able to look through it, or stand on a step stool or whatnot. So just keep that in mind. Now to turn on the camera. The power is right on top. Now with the camera on, you really want to check your battery life. Up in the upper left-hand corner, it shows the percentage left of your battery. If you don't have enough, change it or use external power. The first thing you want to do is you really want to clear off the memory card. Best way to do this is to press menu. You can either press it on the side or on the top. Once it's open, you want to use either the jog wheel on the side or the arrow buttons on the top. And what you're looking for is Other. Click on that. Scroll all the way down to Media Format. Memory card. OK. And it'll format. Complete. Press OK. And you're cleared out. If there are certain clips you want to delete while keeping some of them, you press the Visual Index button, and you'll get a bunch of different clips. These are all the clips you already recorded. If you want to review it before you delete, you can either hit Enter, or you can actually just press on the clip, and it'll pop up. If you press X, it'll pop out. Kind of nice, touchscreen LCD. So there's lots of ways to navigate this camera. But say you want to delete a clip. Press Menu, and you're going to want to scroll through and find Edit. Enter, get into Delete, and here you can actually click which clips you want to delete. Once you check them, you press OK. It'll ask you if you're sure. And when it's completed, you'll see you only have the clips that you left. Now that the memory card's cleaned and the battery's set, you want to check the record setting. Press Menu and go down to Record Out Set. You record set and choose what format you want. As with all menu functions, if you want a quick clear out, you just press the menu button again and get rid of it. Next thing you want to set up is the audio. This camera only does external audio, so you really want to have a mic attached to it. I'm just going to use the mic that came with the camera. And now there's two inputs on this camera. Input 1 is on the side right here. Input 2 is right there. Because I'm only using one mic, I'm just going to plug into input 1. Now, up on the top here are all your functions. You want to set them accordingly to what mics you're using. In this case, because I only have one mic plugged in, I have both the inputs set to 1. So it'll record on both channels. It's on auto right now, but if you turn it onto manual, you can adjust using these wheels. And to monitor the sound, you simply plug your headphones into this back jack right here. And up on the top, you can control the volume in the headphones. Now you want to set your camera settings. There is the overall button to do either full auto or full manual. I really don't suggest full auto. There's a little quirks with this camera. The first off being gain ISO. Basically, they're the same thing. It's just you can choose whether you want to see it as gain or ISO. To show that, you do Menu, Camera Set, and it's Gain ISO Select. I have ISO, but you could have Gain if you like. Now, this button on the side right here will change the ISO from auto to manual. You know the difference because when it's auto, there's the little A there. With this camera, I really strongly urge you never to use auto ISO. For some reason, in the order of the functions it changes, it always changes ISO first and will crank it in a really low light setting. I've seen it go up to 32,000 ISO, which gives a really grainy, bad picture. If you keep it on manual, then you can use these functions right down here, low, medium, or high, and as you can see, they're set to a certain value. Low is 500, medium is 2500, and high is 3200. Those should get you through any situation. If it's too dark for 3200, you need more lighting. The next thing you want to change is shutter speed. Now, to set the shutter speed, you press the shutter speed button, use the jog wheel to set it to what you want, press it in, and you're set. A word to the wise, this camera has a little bit of a quirk to it. If the autofocus is on with face detection and you're using a Sony lens, you cannot set the shutter speed. What you have to do is turn autofocus off, then you can set it, and then you can turn autofocus back on and you're fine. The next function you want to set is your iris. If you press the iris button, you go between auto iris and manual iris. And you can tell the difference because most of the time if something is in auto, there's an A in front of it. With it on manual, there's a wheel on the side that will change. The other thing you can do with the iris is if you have it on manual, but you want a quick auto, there's this iris push auto. And what you do is you just press it and it will set what it would set it for auto, but it wouldn't keep it on auto. It's a handy little tool if you just need a quick change. Next, you want to set focus. You can have it as manual or auto. And like the iris, it has a push auto. So if you're on manual and you want that quick check, you just press the auto. If it's set on auto, there won't be any numbers down here in the lower left-hand corner. But when it's on, you actually see a little focus button, and then you see where the focus is set to. And after a few moments, you'll just see the hand. Now this camera has a face detection for auto, and you can turn it on with this side button right here. It's kind of handy because you'll get a little box around the person's face and it will try to always stay focused on that box. You can also, with focus, have spot focus. You bring up menu, you go to camera set, you scroll down to spot focus. And what this does is you touch on the screen where you want it to be focused on. What's nice is if you're recording, you can actually do a nice rack focus by just pressing the screen on the various parts that you want it to go between. Now you want to set the white balance. You can scroll between auto white balance and manual white balance using the white balance button. If it is auto, in the lower right hand corner, you won't see anything. If it's manual, you'll see the white balance icon along with A or B depending on what your switch on the side is set to. You can have a couple different white balances that you preset and you can switch through it between the performance if you need to. But just to set it, you select A or B depending on which one you want to use. Put your white balance card and then press and hold in the white balance button. It should switch. And with all these settings, none of them are set once and you're perfectly set. You might have to go back and change a couple times. My general rule of thumb is to try to get the gain ISO as low as possible. So it will set that to the lowest number that looks nice and then go and adjust the others. Now, for those extra bright days, this camera does come with ND filters. Just switch between them. And if you're going and changing the settings after the camera's been turned off and you just can't get them very bright, check the ND filter. Sometimes it was left on from the time before. Now that the camera is set up, you're just about ready to record, but you're going to want to know how to zoom. This camera has a few different ways of zooming. The first is right here on the grip. It's a variable zoom, which means depending on how hard you press it down, is how fast you zoom in and out. The next is up by the front of the lens. This is a fixed zoom. So depending on if you have it on high, medium, or low, no matter how hard you press this down, it will always zoom in or zoom out at the same speed. The other type of zoom there is manual. You switch this switch from servo to manual, and there you go. Just keep in mind with manual, it's not as smooth as the servo. So you only really want to use this if you are, I don't know, trying to do a quick zoom, or usually if I end the night and I turn the camera off and it's out like this, I switch it to manual and then close it. You don't need to have the camera on to do that. Just a quick note on assign buttons. This camera has a lot of buttons on the side of the camera, and these 6 up top are what's called an assign button. They come pre-assigned to certain functions like zebra, histogram, peaking, but you can always go and change those through menu settings. There's also a nifty little feature here called status check. What status check is, it is kind of a quick guide to everything you set on the camera. So when you first press it, you see you have battery. You see what the remaining battery is. You can use the jog wheel and go down. You see the audio. You see all the settings that you have set for the audio. You keep going down. You see all the settings for the video. You have all the assigned buttons, and so on and so forth. You might not use this often, but it's a great thing to know where it is, because you might get that point where you know you need to know what a setting is, and you're not sure you want to take the time to fumble through all of the menus to find it. Just a quick press of a button, it's right there. Now you're ready to record. To record, you want to hit one of the 3 recording buttons. Is either the one right on top here, on the handle here, and with the grip off, there's a third one that's right here. And then to stop recording, you just hit the button again. When you're done recording and you want to get the footage off the camera, there's a couple different ways you can do it. The easiest is if your computer has a card reader, just pop the memory card out, put it in your computer, and use whatever software you use to normally get the footage off. On the side of the camera, you can also connect it using a USB cable. This camera also comes with component out. There is an HDMI out right here. You have 3G, HD, SD, SDI out. All in all, it's a very versatile camera. It seems daunting at first, but really once you get to know it, it shoots great picture, and we love it. Thanks for watching.